show you his LinkedIn and show you how you can make yours look as pretty as his, okay?
Okay, so how many people here have a LinkedIn? Okay, that's good to see. How many people like actively utilize it? Okay, that's good. Okay, so for basically LinkedIn, I'm going to go over the why use LinkedIn and how to use it more powerfully. So LinkedIn is much more than a digital resume, which is what a lot of people take it as. LinkedIn, the reasons why to use it is extensive. So this is my current resume, and it has all of my projects, my organization's professional experience, but I have much more to myself than just that. And I'm able to expand my resume just with that one single line that's being blocked out. That one single line at the very top of the resume, that's my LinkedIn URL. You can customize your LinkedIn URL. I highly suggest put this on your resume. It is absolutely essential if you're trying to get into the professional world. You have to have your LinkedIn URL on your resume. So reasons why to use it, it's extensive, as I just said. It's dynamic. So unlike a resume, which is printed out, you have to go to Target Copy, you got to print it out, go through that entire process. It's dynamic. You can change it for free. You can tailor it towards the companies that you're trying to apply for, and you can make it so, oh, you can follow those companies as well. That's something that companies really, really like to see, is they like to see that you're following their CEO, you find them as an influencer. That's going to be a huge gain on yourself if the company sees that you're already looking at the company's LinkedIn. Another point, it's a social network. You're able to connect with your recruiters that you had an interview with just the other day. You're able to connect with old friends from high school. I don't suggest doing that. And you're able to connect with other employees, and they are able to endorse you. Using LinkedIn as a social network is very strong in your case, and it's definitely something that companies are looking for. They want to see that you're active in your community as a computer scientist, not only in your school, but in as far as an expanse as you can possibly find. And lastly, it's a standard. Half of the interviews that I've been in, the recruiter has my resume on the table and then a laptop open, and that laptop is open to my LinkedIn. Their recruiters are looking at your LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn, that's almost a red flag that you are not up to date. So definitely having a LinkedIn it's essential. It's a basic to have, and it's a basic that there's no reason why you shouldn't have it. So here's some tips on how to make a more powerful LinkedIn. And these are just a few ones. I'm going to go to my LinkedIn after this, and I'm going to show you my own LinkedIn and show you things that I've used to revamp my LinkedIn. First, one of the hugest mistakes that I see on people using LinkedIn is no profile picture. It is absolutely essential to have a LinkedIn profile picture. People are going to go from your resume, they're going to look at this blank sheet of paper, and if they go to a blank website, it's going to be completely pointless. They want to go to a site where they can see your face, they'll remember your face, they'll remember talking to you. It just adds a whole nother dynamic to the LinkedIn and to your job application. So get a headshot. It doesn't have to be completely professional, especially being a CS major. It could be a little bit more casual, but make sure some basic tips. Don't have it with another person in the picture. Make sure it's not you with a beer in your hand, and make sure that it's something that it's kind of PG rated. You can just show anybody. Yes?
Are mirror selfies okay?
Mirror selfies are the absolute worst. Make sure that your arm isn't extended. That's another thing. I've seen it all the time. Like a person's arm extended, they're taking the picture like this. If I was a recruiter, I would be like, no, I'm not going to hire this person because of that. Also because they don't know how to, yes?
Ship is actually giving out like $2 headshots tomorrow at the right team in the ballroom.
Oh, could you repeat that?
Yeah, Ship is giving out $2 headshots at the ballroom to like just come dress and then they'll take your headshot.
Yeah, so take advantage of events like that. And I know other clubs, potentially ours, are going to be setting up events like that just for you guys, SEC members.
That's not $2.
It's free.
Well,
So, yeah.
that's a good idea. Now we know how we can make some money.
No. All right, and moving on. So another tip is connect with those you know. Like I said, it's not that good to connect with people that you vaguely have relationships with, like old high school friends and stuff like that. Connect with people you know, and connect with people that you can have coffee with and you can actually meet up with. And another thing on this is that if you don't know that person but you work with them on a past internship, connect with them. Like I connected with my CEO of my last company that I interned with, and I was able to have a conversation with her on LinkedIn. And then while I was still in the area of my work, I was able to contact her and we were able to have a meetup just because I connected with her on LinkedIn. So it's a very powerful tool if you connect with people you know and connect with people who you want to know further on. Endorsements and recommendations. Going off the people that you know, endorsements are a powerful thing to have. So basically you can put your skills down and then people can say, yeah, this guy has this skill. That's a powerful thing to have, and that's something that recruiters want to see. And lastly, become an active member. I suggest using LinkedIn as much as possible. It's a social network, so also it's fun to go on. So another thing, you can post on LinkedIn. I don't know if this is large enough. Yeah, it's good. So being an active member, I've made a post recently. I've published an article through LinkedIn. Through LinkedIn Pulse is a platform that they have where you can release articles. So that shows me as an active member. So if we go into my article, it shows that I have a couple of comments and a couple of likes on it as well. So recruiters really like to see that. I've actually been talked to by interviewers, hey, I like this article. And I'm working with my past company, GE Hitachi, with their communications, publishing more articles. So LinkedIn is a powerful platform to do more activities like that. So I'm going to move on more towards my LinkedIn. As you see, my headshot is just a picture of me in front of a brick wall. Very something simple. It's very easy to do. Just get yourself a nice headshot. It's going to make your LinkedIn look much more professional. Going further down, max scrolling, sorry. So experiences. So I'm going to go through each one and give you tips on what I did and what I looked at for each LinkedIn piece, and then basically try to translate that to y'all. So in my experience section, basically what I did is I took the chunks that I have in my resume and I pasted them in my experiences. Make sure your experiences are a good tip is it's something that you got paid for. So make sure it's professional experiences. If it's organizations, there's another section for that. So make sure to use that section and keep this to things you got paid for and things that you can go back to your employer and say, this is the employer that I had, this is where I was getting paid, this is what I was doing, and this is what I was working on. Also, another powerful thing about this is that, so recently, last year I was working for the Alligator, I'm actually able to post my ads that I made on here. So it's a multimedia platform, so moving on towards that it's actually dynamic, you can add more things onto it rather than just having a resume that says, I made advertisements. I can be like, hey, I actually made these. And if you made an application during work, you can say, hey, I made this application, and you can post it as a video, as a presentation, or as a document, so you can actually post your code onto your own LinkedIn. So moving past the experience, moving towards education, so basic education, University of Florida, it's very easy to do. Put your GPA, put your organizations that you're in. Just like your resume, you want to put the organizations that you're in. That's a great thing. They want to see that if you're on UF campus, you're actually doing stuff on UF campus. That way that when you're on their campus, you're actually doing stuff with them. So that's something that they like to see as well. Also, another great thing about LinkedIn is you can post projects. And that's great for us CS majors because we can actually put our projects, you can link it to your GitHub or your dev post, you can link it to anything, and you can put the people that you worked with, so that's further showing it as a social network, and you can describe it. And I've gotten commented, like during interviews, people have gone down to my projects and be like, hey, how did you work on this project? And because they have other people in it, I've gotten a lot of conflict resolution questions based on this project. And on some of these projects, I had a lot of conflict resolution to talk about. Going to the next part is skills. So this is going back towards that endorsement part. My tip on skills, put stuff that you say I can be an expert on. Not going off of Malcolm Gladwell's expert of being 8 years because we're only in college right now. Just put something that if someone says, hey, I need someone doing this job, I'm able to do it. And that's another great reason why to do that is that people will actually endorse you. You don't want to put down skills that people won't endorse you for, because then it's just going to be like, hey, I can do this, but no one's really saying that you can actually do that. Yes?
Do you have any tips on that awkward moment when somebody endorses you for something and you know they have no idea about
so,
you're doing that skill, because it happens to me all the time.
Yeah. On mine, people have really endorsed Microsoft Word for me, and it's not really something I want to be like, yeah, I'm great at Microsoft Word. I have like this very basic function to myself. So my suggestion, the way I've been handling it, is put it in that lower section, because the way that skills appear, you choose how skills are going to appear. So if people like keep on posting like, I'm great at Microsoft Word, it's not going to go to the top of my list. You can organize it yourself. Yes?
So another suggestion I found that worked is making sure that you add a lot of people that you've actually worked with in your fields, like in computer science. That way you can like hopefully assume that those are the people adding most of your skills, so they know, they most likely know something about you. Like I had my mom, and she gave me like Microsoft Word once, and I was like, Mom,
yeah. Yes.
I'd like to add something. If you want to get good endorsements, it would be better to go to any online like edX courses, like where people know that you are doing this and you can share your certificate online, and so they endorse you based on that. So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's how I got my endorsements. It's around, you can show my resume also. I got endorsements on based on that.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, and pointing off that, there's so many more sections that you can add on, and I'll kind of wrap it up a bit more now. There's so many more sections that you can add. You can add certifications, and that's a great thing to add because like that extends past the skills section and actually shows certification. You can add the organizations that you're in, so put stuff that you didn't get paid for but you're working on campus. So this section should be pretty large for us because we're on campus and we're really active. You can put honors and awards, basic standard from your resume, put honors and awards that you've been involved with. Languages, that's another section. I've gotten an interview just because of my language section. The goodness of that interview is another subject. You can also put volunteer experience, so you can put what kind of, so basically there's many sections. It's very customizable and very dynamic. You can put your coursework, and also going down to the more social aspect of it, use this section. I haven't been utilizing it too much. Put your influencers. It's a great thing to see because if there's a company that you really want to be a part of, put that company down as your companies that you're following. That going back to that, companies like to see that you're actually active on their LinkedIn, and they're putting a lot of work into their LinkedIns, so they like to see that being actually utilized. So yeah.
Going up a little bit at your coursework.
Yes.
What should you put only the relevant courses on CS, or like, because you have their.
I have What is a Good Life. I haven't updated the coursework section of my LinkedIn. Yes, I do suggest only putting relevant coursework that will be like I'm gonna delete it right now. But if I get asked, what is a good life, like, so do you understand what a good life is? I'm not going to be able to answer that. So yeah, and so now it's just open for questions. So any more questions? Yeah.
And do you have a summary at the top?
I do not have a summary. That's a problem with my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Get a summary. I suck at that. So yeah,
so
sorry
that
about
was
that.
my thing. Like, what should you put on the summary? Because
Oh.
everybody suggests to have a summary.
So yeah, so I'll go over those points. So right here you have a headline. And so basically your headline should be a shorter part of your summary. There's 3 different things that your headline can be. It could be your job title, which is what I'm using now, or sorry, 2 different things. It could be your job title, which is what I have right now, or it could be basically your mission. That comes more in play once you have your own company or once you're working with a company, but you would like to put like what is the reason why you're seeking professional work. So you could put seeking an internship for blank, blank, blank. Or you could say what your current job is. So I'm trying to help people become more developed in software engineering, stuff like that. So that's another thing you can do with your headline. In your summary, I can't talk too much on the summary aspect, but some tips I've heard in the past is make sure to put what your mission is. So what is the reason why you're pursuing your certain goals? What is the reason why you're at school? And what is the reason why you're pursuing an internship or looking for a job or looking for sub-projects to do? And also, put stuff that's essential, put stuff that you don't want people scrolling down to look at. Put the things like, I did this kind of work, I did this kind of work. Put stuff that you find essential to yourself, and then put that in your summary. And also, going off of this, are there any more questions? Yes?
Is there a way to make your profile so that you have your skills first and not your experience?
Yes. So, here, let me log into my
It's
LinkedIn.
like a little arrow, I see.
Yeah. Let me log in. Or let me go to Sergio's. So yeah, if you want to find those different panels that I was talking about, right here, that View More section, just click that, and you can see all the different things you can put. You can put down your patents, supported organizations, or certifications, as I was saying before. And to move your sections down, you just hover over your LinkedIn, and then this arrow right here. You can move anything, you can move anything up and down. Between different points inside, you have to click on them. Oh wait, it's by date for these ones. But for organizations, I believe. Oh, you don't have any organizations on here. Yeah, you grab on the left side. On the left side, they would have the drag and drop box. So you just use that to push stuff between each other. Any more questions? Yes.
If you scroll up to the top of mine, what do you suggest putting like all the way like where you're? What's that called? That line.
This is the headline. That's what I was talking about before.
There, like,
so that's what I was talking about for the headline.
Yeah, like I see people have what I have right there, or like.
I wouldn't put student.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't put student at University of Florida because that's what a lot of people put. You want to really differentiate yourself. So if you don't have a current job, you could put what you're seeking an internship in, or like trying to pursue
For
this.
example, like you have that your summer internship?
Yes, that was my summer internship, and because I'm still seeking internships at this time, I still have that up on there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Since we brought, how good is that picture with that background?
This picture's it's
I might update that, but
you want to have
something similar to that. And it's like
you want to have more of your face in it so that
you can see my face.
Yeah, but basically, kind of taking off this rule, if you wear glasses in real life, wear glasses in your LinkedIn photo. You want to have your LinkedIn photo recognizable so that if someone sees you at a random event, they'll be like, I know that guy. So make sure that it's something noticeable. Don't airbrush or edit it in any way. Make sure that if someone sees your profile picture, they'll be able to see you in real life and recognize you very easily. Any more questions? All right, awesome. And I didn't put this on the slides, but we'll put it on the repo that we're going to be making. Other sources other than LinkedIn that you can use, Glassdoor is a great resource to use. You can look at interview questions. People will post, I had an interview with Microsoft, and they'll put the interview questions that they had and certain stuff like that. That's a great resource. GitHub is another resource, and I'll post more on that on the GitHub repo that we will be posting on the website.
Yeah, I'll
and
bring
the
that up real
Facebook
quick.
page. For which one, Glassdoor or GitHub?
Our
the repo.
Is it a good substitute for a personal website?
LinkedIn?
Yeah.
If you don't have a personal website, then yes. And even if you don't have a personal website, have a LinkedIn. They're not really complements. Is that right?
interchangeable.
They're not really interchangeable.
They are
it's-
compliments.
They complement each other.
They complement each other. Basically, it's not I have a LinkedIn or a personal site. It's better to have a LinkedIn and then a personal site. I feel like a LinkedIn is more essential than a personal site. Mm-hmm. Any more questions? All right, awesome.
Great, thank you.
They see that this is going to be on the project section of our site.
Yeah. So he just wants to point out that we're going to update this information here for you guys as we find things that we want to add to it. But this is all for the preparation of the meeting, and it'll be available on the UFSec website. So really quick, let me get back to the presentation somehow. So this is what happens when you.
It's in the drive. Hey, go up. It's a tab.
Oh, it's a tab. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, great. Sorry. This is what happens when you don't use Macs. So. So something that we're not covering in this meeting is the technical questions part of the interview. And that's because the UF programming team is going to actually be going over some of the most common technical interview problems, like reversing strings and building caches and other things. So you can't click it, but once this has been posted already online, you can go there and click this link, or you can just go to the UF programming team Facebook page and just go to their events. There is a technical interview prep on Sunday at I think 2 o'clock. It's from 2 to 6, so it's like an all evening thing. And Josh Kirsten, the captain of the programming team, is going to be covering all those technical questions to get you guys ready. So he may not walk around to each individual person to see how they're doing, but what you might do as a group is he'll post a problem, and then you'll have 10-15 minutes to kind of think about the problem and try and solve it on your own. And then he'll post his solution, and he might post multiple solutions. So he might say, here's a solution that has this runtime, but let's do better than that runtime. Let's get a better runtime out of it. And so he might post another solution. It's a really good prep to sort of get you ready, especially because next week, most of the interviews that you might experience here on campus might be sort of a behavioral interview / a little bit of technical. Like a recent Microsoft interview that we went through had 50% behavioral and then one technical question. So it was 50-50, maybe even 75 behavioral, 25% technical. So you want to make sure you're kind of sort of prepared for everything, and you never know when they're going to call you and ask you to fly you out to to their company to do their technical interview. So Josh, Kirsten, and the programming team are going to cover that. So we're going to move straight on to the behavioral questions. I myself have had a ton of interviews, and I've gone through almost all of them have had some sort of behavioral question asked in them. So really the most important thing about a behavioral question is that it's looking to sort of find out what kind of soft skills you have and how you interact with team members that you've worked with in projects, and how your past your past internships have gone. So I wrote just a little snippet here. It's just these type of questions are used to see what kind of skills you have and competencies needed for the job. See if you kind of fit that job. When you are answering these interview questions, you want to sort of set up the story, what is going on with the kind of what is happening, and then you also want to work up the backstory and the theme. Then you want to state the problem, and then for the solution, you don't want to say my group worked on this solution or my group came up with this idea. You want to say that you or me, I came up with this solution that helped my group, or I came up with a solution and we applied it to my project, or we applied it to the problem. So part of the behavioral questions are sort of seeing how you as a person and what skills you have and how you are going to apply them to actual working in a team or working on a project. So I split it up into 5 sections. Each of these sections, you never know what kind of questions you're going to ask. It usually depends on the position, or it could also depend on the type of questions that are the just random interviewer. So interviewers sometimes just have random questions to decide to ask. One interviewer might ask about teams, another interviewer might ask about leadership. So, and it also depends on the position that you're applying for. If you're applying for a leadership position, you're probably not going to be asked a whole lot about like your individual projects. You might be asked about team projects or leadership skills. So I'm not gonna sit here and read through all these questions. These are for you guys to go through and look. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off by asking a random question to John here, and I want to just you guys to sort of experience what his answer is and how his kind of listen to what he's saying. No way to answer these questions is right or wrong. The way that you answer these questions are how you want to be perceived by the interviewer. So if you want to sound like you're the person leading the team, you're the one who's in charge, or you're the one who is putting things together, then make that sound like that's what you're doing. Don't make it sound like the group is doing that work. If you want to, you basically just put off your personality into the answer. So I think I'm going to do which one? Okay, yeah, so tell me about a time you needed to get information from someone who wasn't very responsive, and what did you do?
Okay, so this past summer, I interned at ExxonMobil, and within that, I worked in the supply pricing team developing software for that team to do migrations between their servers. And when I went to deploy this software, there was several steps I needed to take in order to get it done. So one of those steps was getting the right group policies added so that my migrator ID would be able to run on the servers. And to do that, there's a lot of security and controls in a big company like Exxon. So in order to get these things accomplished, you need to go through other teams like the server ops team in order to get a group policy added. So I knew this would be a potential bottleneck. I submitted the ticket a few weeks in advance, but I still hadn't heard from them when my deadline was approaching to get my project deployed. And so what I needed to end up doing was go through the contacts that I had made working at ExxonMobil, the people that I had met and networked with, in order to find someone that could get it done for me in a timely manner, because people aren't always going to be able to do it if it's just another ticket in their queue of tickets. So building up relationships inside the company was really important, and it helped me get my project out in time, because when you're working on an intern project, you only have about 3 months or less to get done what you need to get done. And so I was able to go through a contact that was a lot higher in the business, had a lot more respect, get him to refer me to someone that actually worked in server ops and was able to give me the permissions and push my project forward. That way I could get it deployed. So the moral is, like, the connections you make when you're working are a big part of who you are and how much you're going to be able to accomplish, because if you don't have those connections, you're not going to be able to get stuff accomplished in a timely manner in a big corporation like ExxonMobil.
Okay, so he went kind of deep into the thing there, and he maybe overshot it. But so basically what you heard was him answering the question where he thought that the interviewer was asking about, a time where he needed to get something done and he needed to get a hold of somebody, but they weren't being really responsive. So he threw in networking. He threw in a keyword that he was able to talk to people, build up a network, build up a like fallbacks in case something didn't work. And then he also talked about how he was the one going to these people, how he was the one following through. He wasn't waiting on someone. So he took this question and he applied it to an internship experience. I mean, that probably happened, and while it happened, he probably wasn't thinking, one day I'll get to talk about in an internship or in an interview how this has affected me. So like he just took a random event that that had happened, and he applied it to this. So for me, I took this question in a sort of different way. I thought the interviewer was asking me like a time that I worked with somebody who wasn't collaborating well enough. Somebody, like, I was on a team with, like, say 5 people, and one of those people weren't actually helping. They weren't being helpful. So how did I approach that situation? So I am personally, I'm not going to go through that answer, but I personally would have probably taken it a different sort of path than he did. Hopefully still showing the same sort of characteristics and showing the same soft skills, but it was different approaches basically. But that's it. Thank you. So, so in the beginning, I asked for 5 volunteers or 5 names, and so you didn't know what you're getting into. So I'm going to tell you now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick somebody, and you're going to answer one of the questions. Don't go into detail like John did. Just sort of give me a basic like 20-second interview or answer. And what I did during my interview, actually, the interviewer had to cut me off. We only had 30 minutes to talk, and so every question she asked, she had like a particular phrase or word or sort of setting she was looking for, something she was listening, and then the moment she heard it, she said stop, or she like started like talking about the next thing, because you only have so much time to talk. It sounds sort of intense, but it's not that bad. So Alex, who was Alex? Alex, right here. Cool. Okay, so yeah, you get called on first. Sorry about that. So I'm not gonna ask you the first one because that one's a little bit personal. But tell me about a time that you were under a lot of pressure. What was going on, and how did you get through it?
At my last internship, we were supposed to be developing these forms for the University of Michigan because they have their own orthotics and prosthetics branch there, and it has to be like completely like the way they want it, or else they can't use it.
Sure.
So we had to communicate through my product manager all the way over to University of Michigan, and they would like never respond. So basically, we had to go off of what we were given, develop it kind of what they wanted, and just keep getting feedback like over the course of the week.
Okay.
Over and over. And,
So there's a lot of pressure applied to you during that time.
yeah, I mean, like, because we had no idea what we were doing. They kept telling us, like, the deadline is set at the end of this week. We need it as fast as possible, but they wouldn't respond to anything.
So cool. That's perfect. So what he did there is he described a time, an experience that he had. He had an internship, and at that internship, he had a deadline he had to meet, and it also had to meet certain specifications, right? So he basically talked about a time that he was told he had to do something, he had to meet a deadline, and it also had to meet those specifications. And so, like, those are different things that I want to hear as an interviewer. I want to hear that you're able to do those things. These are called soft skills. I had another point that I was going to make and I completely forgot. Oh yeah. So never assume that your interviewer knows what you're talking about. So you don't know if your interviewer is actually going to be somebody very technical or very non-technical, or somebody who's non-technical. So John kind of went in, and he mentioned, he dropped a few technical words out there, just a few, and a few acronyms. But me as an interviewer, I might not know what those are. I might be just an HR person who was told to ask about what, ask these questions. And so when you start talking about C++ or looping or you might be losing me. So try to keep it as high level as you can. And that's another soft skill, being able to describe something. And that's actually the next question, I think. Yeah. So before I answer that, so let's see. Kyle, who was Kyle? Kyle, cool. So give me an example of a time you had to explain something technical to a non-technical person. And then how did you handle that situation? Less than 2 minutes.
What if we can't recall something?
So, okay, so this is perfect. I was hoping somebody would have this problem. So this problem actually happens a lot. Kyle, Alex, did you, that answer that you had, did you see this question, like maybe say last time you interviewed and you already had an answer for it, or did you sort of just make that up on the fly?
I mean, I've seen similar ones to it, and I kind of have like a basis of what to go on.
So you've seen some behavioral questions, seen how they flow, so you sort of started thinking about like how you could apply a situation to those behavioral questions, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you kind of need to do here. I'm sure, so are you computer science, computer engineering? Yeah, so you've talked to people who have no idea what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, parents, grandparents.
Yeah, so, okay, perfect. Tell me about a time that you had to tell your mom about a project that she had no idea what you're talking about. So talk about that.
So I was developing an Android application for the comedy club that I worked at in Jacksonville, and I was trying to get help just thinking through some of the logical steps through it.
Okay.
When I tried to talk to, I think it was my grandmother. And obviously she doesn't understand anything that's going on.
Cool, so you had to use patience, right? So you had to patiently talk. So I just dropped a key word there. You had patience while you were talking to her, right? And it's your grandmother and your mother. You're not going to be rude to them, right? So So I just picked a random, I picked this mom, I picked this grandmother, or he picked this grandmother. Just think of anything, any kind of situation. It doesn't have to relate to your actual field. It doesn't have to relate to like what you're doing right now. It could be something that you did 2 years ago. I came into the computer science department with a lot of experience working with kids, so a lot of times when I get asked a behavioral question, I'll relate it right back to that because I have a lot of experience with that. So when you're thinking of these answers, if they ask you a question that you didn't review, try not to like get stuck in like sort of the like, oh, I don't know. Say, give me a second to think about this because I hadn't actually considered this question before. And then, within a few seconds, pick an event. If that event happened and it had nothing to do with that question, try and wrap it and make it and sort of like make it sound like it had to do with that question. Try to make sure that don't lie, don't like straight up flat out lie, but try and sort of mold it so that it fits that question. Because a lot of times you're going to get questions you've never heard of. Sometimes an interviewer is going to ask you something that just completely out the door that you've never even heard, and you're going to have to try and communicate an answer. All right, so leadership is very important. Who here likes to be the leader when they get into group projects at school? I mean, yeah, there's people here that, yeah. So you like to take control, you like to, maybe not even take control, but you like to sort of see the bigger picture of how things are going. So one of my favorite questions I get asked is, which one did I say I was going to, oh yeah, so yeah, the last one. So I've been asked this question almost in every single interview I've ever had, like especially if it's an only behavioral interview. So Tanuj, okay. So tell me about a time that you had to make a difficult decision that affected the entire team.
Okay, so last semester I was working with Gator Robotics on the Autobot.
Okay.
It was just a robot that can move arms around and rotate and stuff. So I was on the arm team, and we were supposed to design the arm. And we were around halfway through it when I realized that our entire design was just, it was not going to work with the specifications. We were so far along that if we tried to remake it, we wouldn't have enough time to really finish it. Or
Okay.
we wouldn't have enough time to finish it. So we had to, like scrap half the model and go off of like the parts that we could use and try to just scrape together something that we could present to the leader and then later edit together to be better.
Okay, cool.
So we obviously we were cutting it pretty close to the deadline. We had to spend a lot of time on it. We were under a lot of pressure, but
So something I want to point out that he did, he said that he found a problem. He discovered the problem, and then he pointed it out to the group, and their group worked together to solve that problem. This is something I said in the very beginning. You need to make sure that it sounds like you're doing something and you're making these changes, or that you're playing a key role in your group, and he did that. So I'm not going to ask you more because we're running out of time. So who here brought their resumes? Okay, so some of you. What we're going to do, okay, so we're going to do some resume reviewing. What we're going to do is, did something happen?
I just had that link on there from when we were going to put all the links on there.
Okay. Oh, this is like, okay, I'm going to go back. Okay, so what we're going to do is everybody's going to have 2 minutes with one of us. We have some key points that we wrote down. We looked at some common, some errors in resumes. And we're just going to tell you what we think right away. We're not going to talk about your actual experiences because those are your experiences that you want to sort of convey to the companies, to your interviewers and stuff. What we're going to be looking at is something like spell checking or grammar or formatting. Content, yeah, content's also another thing. I want to see that you have projects or experience. Who here has done some sort of activity? You all are here at the UF Software Engineering Club, right? So that's something that you could put on your resume, especially if you're a freshman and you've never been involved in any clubs. That's something that you want to add. So what we can do is everyone who this is it for the meeting, by the way. So if there's anything that if you have any, anybody questions about the behavioral questions? Anything? No. Okay. So yeah. That's it. For the rest of the meeting, what we're going to do is... Huh? Oh, yeah. So tomorrow night... Sorry, I'm so scatterbrained. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, ExxonMobil is going to be here accepting resumes and talking about the positions that they have available. John here and I both interned at Exxon last summer. We had a great time in Houston. They paid for almost everything, and it definitely was a really cool experience because not only were we having a lot of social fun, but we were also learning about a lot of different cool technical stuff that happens in corporate IT. So they're going to be here tomorrow. Actually, some good friends of ours, they're UF grads, and they're going to be accepting resumes, going over what the company has to offer you, what kind of positions that they have, And I think, don't quote me, but I think they're going to be having free food, pizza or something. So that's tomorrow night at 7. There's a Facebook event. If you already follow the Facebook group, then I'm going to share it again tonight so that everybody has it. But make sure you guys come to that. But other than that, that's it. If you want to get your resume looked over, just come up here. One of us 4 will look at them. You got 2 or 3 minutes with everyone, so you can bring them up whenever you're ready. Thank you.